Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Anywhere. Podcasting and streaming worldwide. It's the In Wheel Time car talk show. Just ahead, author and award-winning automotive journalist Jack Nerad joins us to talk about the winners of NACTOY, the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards. Conrad's going to have the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we'll have this week's automotive news. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us this morning. And live from L.A., Hollywood. We're just going to say Hollywood because everybody else from Hollywood. It's not in Hollywood.
Hollywood Jack?
The Hollywood Jack. Jack, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, well, I first lived in Burbank, and, you know, Johnny Carson came from beautiful downtown Burbank, but they called it Hollywood, so you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Wow, first time.
I've been there,
right.
and actually, did you ever go to the Tonight Show?
I did. Actually, you know, I wrote some material for a comedian who was on the Tonight Show. So that was kind of cool.
Very cool, yeah.
That was way back in the day. That
well,
was,
I will tell you,
in the 80s sometime.
Yes. Lenny Bruce?
No.
Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
I did write for Rodney Dangerfield, actually.
Did you?
Wow.
But that was not...
But you can't get any respect.
Yeah.
No respect.
I still don't. Yeah.
So how are
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are things out there in L.A. this morning?
A little chilly, actually. We had about 44 degrees when I got up with the dog at 4 in the morning, and I think it's up to maybe 45 or 50 right now.
Oh, wow.
Wow, so it's chilly
What's
out there,
going
too.
on?
That's
Yeah, a
unusual.
little cool here.
Yeah, exactly. And,
I hear you're in for single digits, though, or something like that.
Well, the wind chill factor is on Monday supposed to be in the single
And
digits.
somebody will turn all the electricity off when that happens.
Yeah,
Each one of us has a single
That's
digit.
when the electrical grid fails, when we need it the most. That's another story unto itself. We could have a whole another show
Just on weather.
talking about the weather and the grid. Anyway, that's not what we talked to you this morning about. Congratulations on another successful year in the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards. And we thought we'd get your take on it. And how many awards how many categories are there, Jack?
There are 3 big categories, actually. There's Car of the Year, Truck of the Year, and then Utility of the Year, which is our newest category. I think we added it about 10 years or so ago. And we added it because sport utility vehicles were lumped in with trucks typically, and
Yes.
they're very different animals, right? So kind of didn't make sense to have one or the other, so we decided to have both.
Although many of those used to be based on, for the most part, car chassis, car bits
Yeah.
underneath them.
Well, and some had truck chassis too, and
That's right.
you know they were passenger vehicles. Trucks meant to tote stuff typically, although there's plenty of people who are using them just as passenger cars these days. But a sport utility is meant to haul people mostly, and so 2 different tasks. So we decided to switch it off.
Were there any runner-ups, or was it just 3 awards: car, truck, and utility?
There were 9 finalists, 3 in each category. So there were essentially 2 runners-up in each category.
I got you.
And then the winner.
Well, just the 3 that are nominated for each category. I mean, that's bragging rights in itself.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like an Oscar nomination, right? I mean, it's great to win the Oscar, but if you were nominated, that means you're being recognized by a lot of folks as top notch, and you know. So being one of the top 3 in any of these categories is a terrific honor.
And how many people voted for these winners?
Our jury consists of 50 members. We keep it to 50. They're mostly from the United States. We have about half a dozen or so who are from Canada. Obviously, they're a much smaller country in terms of population than we are. And all auto experts from different fields. There's some enthusiast writers, some industry writers, some people like me who are in broadcast media in addition to writing. So a nice combination of folks.
Yeah, well, that's good. And so does everybody have a vote per category?
they have the same sway. Let's put it that way. The way we do it is we, depending on what level we're at, whether we're voting for finalists or semifinalists, we have a different procedure where you get X number of essentially votes you can apportion to various cars. So in the finals, I could have apportioned 10 points to my top car, or split up that 10 points, in any way I wanted, 6-3-1, something like that.
Yeah. Did you do that? Have you ever taken
that?
Did you ever take your whole 10 points and say that's the one and that's all?
I have.
Stuffing the ballot box.
And when I thought what one absolutely deserved to be the car of the year, would be the winner, I would give them all of my 10 points. This time around, it was a little more nuanced, so I spread the points around a little bit.
And what do you mean by nuanced?
Well, I think when you look at, say, the car of the year field, okay, you had the Hyundai Ioniq 6, which happened to be World Car of the Year last year. You have the Honda Accord, which is a really, really good car. Maybe not particularly exciting, but they've done a marvelous job with that car, especially at the price. And then you had the winner, the Toyota Prius and Prius Prime, which are undoubtedly the best hybrids and plug-in hybrids as cars ever. So you really have a nice combination. And personally, I really like both the Accord and the Prius, and so I split my votes mostly between those two vehicles.
Interesting. And when you really had your eye set on the winner, how did that play out with all of the other journalists? Did they kind of go along, not that they knew what your vote was, but did they kind of feel the same way?
I think a lot of times, yes. I think a couple of years ago, the mid-engine Chevy Corvette was our car of the year. And a little bit of, off the beaten track for us, because we typically choose vehicles that are very mainstream, that are, every person kind of cars, as opposed to a Corvette. Corvette is kind of borderline there. I mean, it is an incredible value for what you pay for it, but it's a more expensive car than the typical person is going to pay for a car.
Yeah, I assume, and I would do the same thing. I would assume that you would go for probably the biggest seller car. At least, what is it that really strikes me as an overall value and really a good-looking package? Yeah, like a Camry or something, like an Accord or something like that more people would buy than, say, for instance, a Corvette.
Yeah, that figures into it pretty significantly, and you see that. I mean, Prius is a pretty high-volume car. Certainly, the Accord is a very high-volume car. Another thing that's important, too, is we like to pick vehicles that we believe are going to be the segment leader. And that really came into play on Truck of the Year, where we chose the Ford Super Duty. The other contenders are good vehicles. There were two Chevys, actually, the Chevy Silverado EV and the Chevy Colorado, which is, a really good midsize truck. But to our mind, or to my mind anyway, the Ford Super Duty is the segment leader. It is the segment leading heavy duty truck, whereas Colorado's good, but I don't know that it's better than the upcoming Toyota Tacoma, for example, or some of the others in the segment.
So has NACTOY had any consideration about having maybe a subcategory for the EVs? Because in what I'm seeing in your 9 finalists, the 3 per category, there's an intermingling of EVs, and actually in the utility vehicle of the year, all 3 of them were EVs.
Right. I mean, we consider EVs, and we've considered having separate categories, but our thinking was number one, we want to keep it very tight. You could name 10, 12 vehicles something of the year,
right?
But that would diminish the value of, I think, the car of the year.
I agree with you. I agree with you totally. Yes, wholeheartedly.
Well, go ahead, Don.
No, I'm just going to say, because in the end, it's a vehicle that gets you from point A to point B, no matter what engine you choose. And to me, at least at this point in my life, when I look at all of the vehicles out there, you may like the EV, you may like the plug-in, Jeff likes the gasoline motor, and I like the gasoline motor. So, there's parity in that to me.
Yeah, and we feel that vehicles have to compete against one another. EVs have to compete against gasoline cars and have to compete against hybrids. And some vehicles, the Hyundai Kona, for example, comes in a couple of different flavors, right? And that works to their advantage. The fact that the Prius is both available as a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid, I think, worked to its advantage and probably was the deciding factor.
Interesting. Yes, and that would be kind of like. Let me think about that for a minute. So there's the plug-in hybrid and the true hybrid, and I'm going. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the hybrid myself. At this point in my life, that's what I'm going to go with because of the ease of getting the battery charged
and the distance.
Yeah,
Lack of range.
And I'm sure that those kind of factors play into the voting as well, Jack?
Oh, absolutely. The good thing about a plug-in hybrid is you can operate it as a electric vehicle until the battery is spent, and then you have that gasoline motor essentially as your lifeboat to save you when that's gone. A lot of people can get by probably operating it as an electric vehicle for around town errands or fairly short commutes, that kind of thing, ad infinitum, right? But then when they want to go to grandma's house, in West Texas or something like that, it's a whole different thing. And yet they don't have the issues they would have if they had a pure EV.
Yeah. Well, and where you are out in California, I know that there's a lot more support, technically speaking, with chargers. They're much more plentiful out there. So if you get caught a little bit short on your charge on your plug-in hybrid or your plug-in electric, you find a place that you can plug it in and get charged. Whereas if you're going between here and San Antonio, say, that the charging network, just the infrastructure isn't quite there yet and could be a problem if you're going to go on from San Antonio, as you mentioned, to West Texas.
Yeah, it could be very difficult. And, the technology keeps changing. We have a lot of chargers out here, but a lot of them are level 2 chargers. They're not fast chargers. And now the trend, of course, is to fast charging. Nobody wants to sit at a charger for hours and hours or leave their vehicle on a charger for a long period of time. It's onerous enough to be, I think, to sit at a charger for half an hour at a fast charger to get topped off.
And that's where I am right now. I just can't imagine myself having a choice of going, let's see, I can get a car that basically gets 40 miles per gallon of gasoline, and I can put all of that little bit of gasoline in there and go from here to San Antonio and still have gas left over, and with a 5-minute fill up, as opposed to 3 stops between Houston and San Antonio just to get there to keep it charged. There's an hour and a half out of my life.
Plus money, because if you stop, you're going to stop at a Buc-ee's, and you can spend money
at
absolutely,
or even worse, a Walmart.
Another thing, Jack, it seems like the Hyundai Kia sisterhood has made great inroads in NACTOY. With what is it, 5 of them, 4 of them of the 9 were nominated.
Yeah, they just build really good vehicles. I mean, they're engineering stuff that looks great, that is a high value, high quality. It seems like their reliability is quite high. So they've really come a long, long way.
But Jack, to that end, let's talk for just a minute about Asian cars, because obviously that is one. Those are Korean, and as opposed to Japanese, I think that the Japanese, even though it's an Asian car, I think that the Japanese cars seem to have a little bit more quality to them. Do you?
Well, it depends on how you measure quality. And, I talk to the people at J.D. Power a lot, and they measure quality essentially by lack of problems, right?
Yep.
And they also look at reliability by lack of problems, or just over a longer period of time. Some of those problems are they're not anything mechanical or technical, something really that's gone wrong. They revolve around people not understanding how to use something. Infotainment systems are key. And then you have issues with connecting Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You guys probably all experienced that. Anybody who does car testing has had snafus with the Apple CarPlay connection, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
And that's counted as a problem. That's not necessarily to strand you by the side of the road.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't discount.
But it's irritating.
Yeah, you can't discount the loose nut behind the wheel.
True enough. Absolutely.
And you're speaking to one right here.
There's probably five of us on this panel, right?
That's it. So, Jack, what is the car of the year?
The car of the year is the Toyota Prius.
The Toyota Prius. The non-plug-in Toyota Prius.
Well, actually, both.
Prius and Prime.
Yeah,
both of them.
Prius and Prime.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. And the truck is the Chevy Heavy Duty?
No, Ford Super Duty.
Ford Super Duty.
Gotcha.
Right.
That'd be the 250.
250, 350.
250 on up.
Yeah.
Either the Super
On
Duty.
up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the utility?
The utility is the Kia EV9. The first, kind of affordable 3-row electric vehicle.
I don't believe that I've had an EV9. Have you had one of those, Mars? You haven't? You need to turn your microphone on.
Good looking car. I've seen them. I've not.
Have you driven? Obviously, you've driven it. Jack, what do you think? Obviously,
I have.
a lot.
I have driven it. There's absolutely a ton to like about it. The fact that it's a 3-row is really a breakthrough. It's essentially on the same platform as the EV6. It's taller. It's about the same length, but they wedge in a third row that's a fairly reasonable third row. I think when the third row is being used, it doesn't have a ton of cargo space behind the third row. It is certainly not the equivalent of a full-size conventional SUV, 3-row SUV, but it's absolutely a step in that direction, and I think it's going to be very, very important. And Kia looks at it as their flagship of their EV line, the way that they look at the Telluride as the flagship of their gasoline line.
Yeah. And did it feel heavy?
It actually feels pretty good. I think the saving grace, as you guys know, with electrics is the instant torque, right?
Yeah, right.
So they are heavy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's at least 1,000 pounds of battery, I've got to believe, under the floorboards there. And you kind of feel that, but I think I've maybe come to terms with that a little bit. And I think they're doing a better job of making that less obtrusive.
Jack, it's always great to talk to you. We thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy that warm California sunshine today, just for us.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll try and get outside.
All right. Well, and so when are we going to talk to you next?
Well, as soon as you want me. I always enjoy talking to you guys, so it's a real pleasure for me. I'll do it anytime.
Thank you, Jack. We appreciate you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds terrific. You guys have a great day. Thanks.
You too.
Thank you.
Conrad's Car Clinic.
Boy.
What is the clinic today?
We're going to talk about what makes gasoline good or bad.
Okay.
Varnish
is bad.
Well, varnish is a result of the gasoline not burning properly. But, we're all familiar with different octane ratings of gasoline. When you pull up to the gas pump, you can choose 87, 89, 92, 93 fuel. And all those different octane ratings are available at most gas stations. The higher the octane rating is, or often referred to as premium fuel, is all about controlling detonation in the engine. Premium fuel does not necessarily burn cleaner than a regular fuel, and premium fuel is purely about octane. So the value of it, you've got to look at what your manufacturer requirement is for the octane reading for the vehicle that you drive. So if it's a high compression engine, turbocharged or supercharged engine, most probable it's going to call for a premium fuel because they want to control detonation in those engines. That spark knock can be pretty damaging to an engine. So the quality of gasoline, the average cost of a new car today is somewhere around $48,000, not counting for the EVs. With a price point nearing $50,000, it only makes sense that you do everything possible to take good care of your vehicle. That includes filling the tank with a high quality gasoline. The worst gasoline brands in the nation are top tier fuel. You got to remember, top tier fuels were something that were come around in about 1995 when Audi, BMW, GM, Honda, Toyota, and Volkswagen all went to the fuel industry, the gasoline industry, and said, look, we need a fuel that has a higher content of deposit cleaning agents to keep the injectors, combustion chambers, and intake systems clean. So those manufacturers, those fuel manufacturers came out with what's called top tier. And there's a list for top tier fuels, and I'm going to post it on our social media.
Valero, Exxon, Shell.
Yeah, Valero, Exxon, Shell, Texaco, let's see, Costco, Diamond Shamrock, Gulf, Marathon, Mobil, Phillips 66, Arco 76, Citgo. Those are all top tier fuels.
Citgo's Venezuelan.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, if I may just jump in here, to say to you, there was a fueling station called the Fuel Depot that I used to get fuel at. It is down off of Main Street. And the guy had pulled the truck in there. And he just finished, and I didn't really care if it got dirt in the in the fuel system or not. But at any rate, I asked him, I said, because there's no label on the side of the tanker. I said, so where'd you get the fuel? Oh, over in Pasadena. I said, no. What brand of fuel is it? Oh, I can't tell you that. I said, come on, man. Of course you can. It was Conoco. It was Conoco fuel. Now, that's got additives in it.
Yep, Conoco is a top-tier brand.
So it was a top-tier brand, but they didn't advertise that on the Fuel Depot place.
No.
You didn't know that you were buying Conoco fuel.
And Sam's Club does the same thing. Sam's Club may be buying fuel, and Kroger's may be buying fuel from different vendors. So kind of the top tier kind of comes in and goes out, but it's not considered top-tier fuel.
Well, you were talking about the Costco fuel. You mentioned it. Costco doesn't do their own refining, do they?
No. But the vendor who provides them with their fuel is always a top tier fuel provider.
Okay.
So you got to think. A lot of those are, a station, an independent station. They buy their fuel from whoever their fuel wholesaler is.
I wonder what Buc-ee's is.
Well, Buc-ee's wasn't on the list at all.
Beaver Nuggets.
And my point too is, your car calls for a certain octane rating. Get that octane rating. If you want longevity without having issues with the car, get a top tier fuel. And all of that relates back to the better you take care of your car, the longer it's going to last. Those who are not top tier fuels are BP is not top tier, which surprised me. I figured BP would be. Circle K is not. Speedway. Amco is not, Love's is not, Murphy's, Pilot J, Safeway, and Sam's Club is intermittently top tier, but not consistently top tier.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So there's a reason why that fuel is slightly cheaper than what you see at the Shell, right? What you see at the Shell and Texaco.
Water is the additive.
Is that the fuel truly is cheaper because they don't have the higher content of deposit cleaning agents.
Well, I have to tell you that I filled up the Corvette last weekend.
All right.
With my 93 octane Exxon, $50. $50.
Well, welcome to my world. It's been costing me about $60 to fill the Yukon up.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm buying big expensive fuel for the Corvette, so I baby that thing.
You need an Oklahoma credit card. That's a siphon.
A siphon. Oh gosh. But yeah, top tier fuels do make a difference, and I highly recommend, if you're going longevity on your vehicles, to use top tier fuels. May cost you a little bit in the short run, but it'll save you money in the long run.
Hertz Global Holdings plans to sell a third of its U.S. electric vehicle fleet and reinvest in gasoline-powered cars due to weak demand for the battery-powered options. The sales of 20,000 EVs began last month and will continue over the course of 2024, the retail giant said Thursday in a regulatory filing. Hertz expects to record a non-cash charge in its fourth quarter, results of $245 million related to incremental net depreciation expense.
That's how much they're losing.
The company expects to reinvest a portion of the proceeds from the sale of EVs into the purchase of internal combustion engine vehicles to meet customer demand, Hertz said. The company expects this action to better balance supply against expected demand of EVs. Hertz shares were down 4.2% to $8.95 when the market closed Thursday. The stock declined 32% last year.
Can I add something to that? They're mainly 21 and 22 models, and they're high mileage. That's the main thing. They're like above 50,000.
On the EVs?
On the EVs, they're high mileage EVs, and they're 21, 22 models.
And you got to think, people don't treat rent cars well.
No.
No. Are you serious?
Surely you jest.
Who sent the video? What do you guys send?
I sent you the video.
That was just hilarious.
During the week, I sent Conrad some videos of people that have misused their cars. I like the ones where they weld things, poorly welded things, to the engine block, suspension parts, exhaust systems. It's like, how do you even think of stuff like that?
Well, I'll go all the way back to 1965 or 66 when Hertz was selling the Shelby.
The Mustangs.
Shelby GT350H, and people would rent it for the day, take it home, pull the 306 horsepower 289 out, put a regular one in, send it back to Hertz. Genius.
It was, yes. By the way, we didn't get a chance to get to Hemming's Sold Cars Roundup, but I got one for Jeff here. A 1968 Chrysler Town & Country wagon. There it is.
Oh,
Guess how
wagon.
much that beauty went for with the wood siding?
Wood vinyl.
$10,878.
I was thinking like 14, but that's.
Here's one for you, Jeff. A 41 Cadillac 62 red convertible. Look at that beauty.
It's gorgeous.
$36,700.
A 41.
A 41
Unusual
Cadillac.
because there were very, very few 41s
Have you
built.
been watching the Meekum? I watched maybe 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
There was a 69 Corvette convertible, and it went for $400,000. Why?
Yeah.
Well, there was also I think that was a custom. There was also a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass that went for $100,000.
And you look at those, and I just saw that run by last year. The last Meekum.
By the way, and I have a car for Mars.
Oh,
Yay!
This one's for you, Mars. It's a 1983 Chrysler LeBaron.
Oh gosh.
with Corinthian leather.
No, but it's
Corinthian
got wood siding on it, and
It's still in the crate.
No, it's a convertible, and it's sold for $7,500. That's for
it.
you. We're going to wrap up today's In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show
Date
right
car.
after a quick break. We'll be right back.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. Well, that's it for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Here's your invitation. You see it? Yep. Follow us on Facebook. Give us a like. Tell your friends about us and share our stuff if you would. We'll keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including award-winning interviews, new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing, and car, truck, and SUV goodies. Hey, when you need a car fix during the week, you can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 via the iHeartRadio app. We live stream this show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite streaming provider. We post a new episode every day. The In Wheel Time marketing, advertising advisor, and video technical director is We Always Need More Jeff Zekin. For booking agent, do-it-all and IT connoisseur, Mr. Mike Mars.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Know-it-all, His Royalty, King Conrad DeLong, and Chief Engineer David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. We hope you'll join us for another live, award-winning production of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show next Saturday, January 20th, on all of our In Wheel Time Car Talk outlets. Have a great weekend. Stay warm out there. The Arctic blast blows in on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go Texans. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.